All right, this is day 6. Today's the first time it's actually starting to get a little difficult, and we're going over things that I didn't previously know, and that is loops. Obviously, I knew the basic type of loops, the JavaScript loops, but I wasn't that good at it, and to be honest, I finessed that class, so I never really learned. But SwiftUI loops are slightly different. We went over switches and while loops. And we also had checkpoint 3, so I'm just going to go over this real quick. Let's go through loops. All right. So we started by making an array and then name and print. So this is just so for loops is just use this function for and then whatever variable we're going to put here and then in platforms. So for name in platforms print Swift. So it goes through one at a time and prints these names. For integers, the I variable is commonly used, and this dot 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 represents a range. So going from 1 to 12, print this times table. So this is a loop within a loop as well. So we do 4j in 1 through 12. So this is going to be 4j or print j times I equals j times I, and this will result in 12 different times tables, I believe. Okay. So right here, this is the first loop that we went over, name and platforms, and then right here, the I times table. In this case, the first one would be the 1 times table, and be 1 times, and then 1 times 12, 12 times, or 1 times, let's say the numbers table or the times table up to 12. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. For less than, it'll stop before 5, so 1 will not exceed 5, I will not exceed 5. It keeps going until it gets to 1 below 5, which is 4. 4 will not exceed 5. And then we also tried it with string. Haters gonna hate. So we're doing lyric equals haters gonna hate, and then for test, I can name this whatever I want. I'll name it hating. For hating 1 through 5, lyric plus equals hate. So we're gonna take the lyric, which is haters gonna hate, and we're gonna add hate to it 1 through 5 times, so 5 times. That's loops, or for loops. Then we have skip loop, which is just showing continue and break within it. For in this case, we made a array of file names, 2 ending with JPEG, 1 ending with text. And then we go through the file name, and then we're checking if it has suffix JPEG because we're looking for the pictures. If it equals false, we continue. And then at the end, we're printing found picture file name. So pretty much what this is doing is it goes through the first one, .jpg, checking if it has JPEG, false, continue, print, yeah, so the whole purpose of this is because it has JPEG, so it's always going to found picture this. What it's going to stop is if it doesn't have JPEG. So that way it doesn't print this work.txt. So if we run it, it should show the first and last one. There it is. Found picture me.jpg, found picture sophie.jpg. But yeah, this is checking if it's false, you don't show it. But it continues. That way it doesn't stop the for loop and keeps it going. Over here we did with integers, we did is multiple of. Oh, this is how you do it. So I'm going to come back to this is multiple for the checkpoint because I think they wanted me to use it, but in this case we're checking, we set these variables and then we do I 1 through 100,000, And then we're checking if it's a multiple of number 1, which is 4, and multiple of number 2, which is 14. We're going to append it to the array. If they count, and then we're going to keep going until the count of the array is 10, and then we're going to break. So it should be 10 numbers, yep. And we're checking that they're multiples of 4 and 14 up to 100,000. But as soon as we get to 10 data points in the array, we stop. So that's that. And then last one was while loops. While loops go until it reaches a false. So in this case, if I remember correctly, it goes until it reaches an end. So in this case, we're doing countdown equals 10. And then while the countdown is greater than 10, we're going to print countdown ... And then we're going to lower countdown by 1. So we could change this order. Actually, no, it's fine. So what's happening is we print countdown ... So it starts off with 10, since variable is 10. And then the minus equals 1 is subtracting 1 every time. So we subtract 1 and we restart. So now it's 9. Print 9 ... Right here, we see it. And then 8, 8. And it's going to keep going until it reaches a false, which is 0. So it gets to 1, and then once it reaches 0, we leave the for loop and it prints blast off. This is a way to randomize the random function, and then what we're doing here is we're rolling through 20. So we didn't use it. So in this case, variable roll equals 0. While roll does not equal 20, we're going to randomize it 1 through 20, and then print I rolled this. Once it hits 20, it'll make this false, and then we get critical hit. So let's see. Yep. So look how we rolled, got a 12, 12, 2, 9, and then we kept going until we finally got 20. Gets us to leave the loop. Print critical hit. Over here we're doing power of, so we're doing the power until power of 2. Starting at 2, we do power of 2 until we get to greater than 64. So here we get to 32. At that point, the next power would be 64, which is not less than 64. So we're done at 32. Then kind of same thing here, except we're doing making sure it's uneven. So to get to the checkpoint, to go over what the checkpoint was asking was, the checkpoint asked, here, let me read the instructions. Your goal is to loop 1 through 100 for each number. If it's a multiple of 3, print fizz. If it's a multiple of 5, print buzz. If it's a multiple of 3 and 5, print fizz buzz. Otherwise, just print the number. So I think they wanted me to use the isMultiple function in here, but I figured out a way to do it without it. And the way I did is I started with 0, variable equals 0. While start is less than 100, we add 1. And then I originally had this at the end, the last rule, but I'll explain why it didn't work. So after I'm done explaining this, I'll explain why it didn't work and why I had to switch it. So if start divided by 3 has a remainder of 0 and divided by 5 had a remainder of 0, print fizz buzz. So that falls within the, if it's a multiple of 3 and 5, print fizz buzz. So this is pretty much is a multiple function of 3. Is a multiple of 3, but I did it, I guess, the long way by using the remainder function. So because I use continue, it doesn't stop there, it goes to the next one. If start divided by 3 has a remainder of 0, print fizz, continue by 5, print buzz, continue. So it should look like this. Right there. Start off at 1, 2, and because it's divided by 3, or divisible by 3, you get fizz. Then for 5, buzz. At 15, we should have fizz buzz, because it's divisible by both. Now the issue I had is I had this over here. Command C. Command V. I had this on this side, so the issue with this is by the time this rule got to 15, 15 was already taken by 3 fizz. So I either had to find a way to replace that print with the new print, but then I realized if I just start with this logic, it would still work. But yeah, that's day 6. This is definitely getting harder, but yeah, I appreciate you watching. I'll be back tomorrow for day 7.